Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to show you how to build this. So this is a 3-foot high by 6-foot wide bookcase I built for my son's room. His room theme is Disney and golf, so I tried to combine both. So you can see there's a little hidden Mickey there for one of the bunkers. I will show you step by step how to do this, but the reason I like this build so much and wanted to share it with you is you don't have to make this a golf themed top. You can just paint it the color you're going to paint everything else. You can put trains on it. You can do whatever you want. It's just a fun little canvas. You can do whatever you would like to it. So this is what we chose. But yeah, let's jump into the build and hope you guys enjoy this video. All right, so to get started, I've got all my materials kind of spread out here. What's going to be the main structure of this is going to actually be these edge-glued pine boards. I was trying to find plywood, but plywood is it's so expensive right now, and what they had, it really wasn't worth the cost in terms of quality. So we're going to do these edge-glued pine boards. I have 3 6-footers and 2 3-footers. The bookcase itself is going to be 3 feet high by 6 feet wide, and it's going to have your top, a middle shelf, and then the bottom, since it's only 3 feet. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this. I only have to make 2 cuts on these pine boards before we can start assembling. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So plan for this bookcase, we're going to have a leg. This top piece is going to span and sit over top of these 2 vertical legs, and this one's going to be inside, nice straight line there, Andrew. And then we're going to do a little bit of trim on the bottom here. So this one up top is going to be the full 6 feet, and this is going to be 6 foot minus double the width of that. So which was like 11/16, I think. So it was almost 3/4. So 11/16 times 2. So that's what we're cutting right now. So we're cutting these 2 pieces. So here's our 2 verticals. Here's our 2 legs. So go ahead, we'll unwrap these. So to give you an idea, so this is the trim. This is the piece of wood I'm going to make my bottom trim out of here. I believe this is a 1x6. So it's going to sit like that to give you an idea. And now this is all personal preference, and if you're making this, it's your design. You can do whatever you want. I'm gonna end up probably wanting to put my bottom shelf so that it sits flush with this. I'm gonna do a little bit of a router design. I just got to figure out what router, but I want to use on this. So what I want to do here is I need to make a line of where this wants to finish. So if I have that at 5.5, I'm going to make a mark here at 5.5, and this is going to be the top of my shelf. So what I can do is I can grab my square, and I'm going to make a line right where this is. Just like that. If it ends up being a little bit proud, it is not that big of a deal, but that looks very, very close. So I think I'm good with that. So now what you can do is if I measure up another 11/16, so So here, let me actually just bring you in closer here. I measure off here 11/16. And go like this, over to this side and meet. To make things easier on myself, now I know this is where my shelf is going to be. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to drill from the inside out, and then I'll come back from the outside and counterseek it. So this way you can get your holes for screws directly in the middle of your wood. So easy trick. So now let's go ahead and I want to figure out the rest of this here. So I have, we'll say 30 inches-ish from the top of this shelf, or hang on. Actually, I just did that all wrong. So this is all gonna get sanded off anyway. So this is where I'm happy I caught myself. So I went the wrong way. So this is supposed to be the top of my shelf. So the rest of it, the bottom has to go under it. So here, let's redo this together. So here's my mark. And this is where that is going to go. There. That's where I want to screw now. All right, so 30.5. The middle of that is 15.25. So here's center. So now, this is gonna be the fun part because I need to go. It's 11:30 seconds is what I need to go, I believe. Is that what it would be? 11:22. Yeah. So I don't have 30 seconds on here, so I just have to guess. One other thing we can do is I have a piece here, and that is it. So all I did here was I found my center, which was right here on this mark, and then you take half of 11/16 is 11. It's essentially, it's 5.5, so it's 11:30 seconds. So tape measures, this one only is in 16ths, so I just essentially went in between. I just went just strong of, what would that have been, 3/8 or just shy of 3/8. But you can also use the scrap piece I cut off as a little bit of a reference mark there. So let's go ahead, we'll draw that one, and there. Okay, so then our shelf, as you see, fits just right there. So now we'll put screw there, screw there. Now I'm not worried about the top because it's going to sit, the top shelf is going to be sitting on top of this. Okay. Now, see I have all my holes here. I got a countersink bit, so I'm just going to run this back through and countersink this. Before I do that though, I'm going to do a little trick here. So I'm going to put this right here along where I want the bottom of my shelf. I'm just going to clamp it. Make sure that's lined up there. One, this side, another, just like that. Okay. This is what it's like to be a DIYer sometimes. Okay, one thing I do want to check is I want my nice boards all facing the same way. I want them all at the front. So this one looks fine. Little groove there. I do think I have a little bit of glue left. Make sure. Okay. So we're going to put just a little bit of glue. I don't want to make a big mess, but anything will help with this. Okay. Okay. Head, pull this in. Lift that up. Get that all nice and aligned. And drive that home. Cool. Okay. I will go ahead. I'm just going to do a little pilot hole for each of these. Just to give you an idea, I'm using some 2.5-inch screws. So this will be plenty strong. Nice to get it on the ground. You'll see it's gonna be pretty big. Let's go ahead and we'll put this second one in here. So let me put I got another block over there. We're just gonna put these in real quick. All right, there's that. Here's my next shelf here. That fits pretty good. Not really gonna worry about glue here. We're gonna glue the top and the bottom. So what I'm gonna do, I can do a quick way to check square here. Make sure all my measurements came out right. So I'm gonna check this. 72 on the nose. And this is 72 on the nose. So theoretically, if I put this just like that, and get both of these edges to sit flush, this will be perfect. So, get some glue on the top of this here, and then we will fasten her down. These things always show up so nice and straight. Okay. Perfect. Now, you may be wondering, so the edge of this, the end grain on this top shelf is actually going to be covered by this piece of molding. So you don't see any of the cut edges on this project at all, which when buying these, it's not as important as if you're using plywood. This plywood, as you know, just does not look very nice on the edges, but we could always make it look nicer. Beautiful. Okay, so there is the main skeleton of this. Now we can go around and we're going to start adding some decorative pieces to this guy now. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of a round over on this piece I'm going to use on the bottom. I'm going to just use my router for that. Put a feather board on here, and off we go. Nothing big, just round it over a little bit, leave a little bit of a nice ledge there. So, okay, great. Okay, we're gonna cut and do a, I think they call it a return. So essentially, okay. So to get that mark, all I did was actually just turn this upside down. So there's my miter end. And the long piece of the miter, I just came over here and lined up. And then just made a mark at the end there. And now we can bring it back and cut the 45. Now to cut this return, I need to cut a 45 this way. And then, so here's my 45. So what's going to happen is this is going to come in this way, and I'm going to give it a return here. I'll show you when we put together. But now I want to cut it right there, so I can lay this thing flat. Okay, so you can make this a whole lot easier on yourself. You go out and you have like the super glue, we call it kicker. It essentially allows the super glue to dry really, really fast. I don't have any of that with me right now, unfortunately, so I'm gonna do, so here's my miter. Here's where I cut it as close as you could. So there's a little tiny bit that is maybe gonna cause a little bit of a gap, but that is what we're going after, is right there. And I mean, it's a 32nd of an inch on the back there. So we're gonna cover this bit in super glue. Then we are going to just like that. Make sure I can get this as lined up as close as I possibly can. Hold that. And that. Okay, there's that side. Okay. So this is the same way, just in reverse. It's just on the opposite side here. So cover all of this in super glue. Okay. So we're gonna let that dry. Okay. While I wait for that to dry, we're gonna get these pieces cut. This is gonna go around the top edge of our bookcase. So let's get those measurements done here and get these cut. That sucks. That hit something and took off. I don't know if there's maybe a knot under here. That is nowhere close to where I was aiming though. All this is gonna get painted so I can fill this pretty easily. That'll just fill in, not a big deal. It's not stain grade. The rest of these cut. Great. Okay, cut this up. Okay, there's that side. Careful, never put your finger on the other side of this thing. It doesn't care what it's shooting through, it'll go right through it. All right. Good. All right, y'all, well, nap time has ended, so I gotta go take care of that. But you'll see me here in about 2 seconds and we'll finish this up. Okay, so we are back at it today. I'd like to get the plywood backer on. Then I have I guess you'd call it a cleat. We're gonna put a big, so it's a 1x4, the full length of this up on top. Reason being, I want to be able to screw it to the wall from the other side because this is going in an infant's room, which will be a toddler soon, and we don't want to tip. So we're gonna attach that here. But don't have a truck, wasn't able to get a 4x8 sheet of plywood, so I got two 2-footers. So we need to figure out where how big I need to make these rips. So right in half of that is about 15 7/8. Let's see what this is. Maybe I could just do. So one is 15 7/8 and one is 16. So we're actually off center by 1/8 of an inch, which actually, it's not. Actually, it could be 16 for both. Let's do 15 and 15 16ths for both of these. Okay. Two pieces cut. Now, so I should have just kept the fence up here. The easiest, so when you're cutting long pieces of sheet goods on a table saw, you're actually looking at the fence. You're not really looking at the blade, which sounds weird, safety-wise. But you need to make sure that your material is flat up against this. That'll keep it as straight as possible. But then you also need to make sure you keep in mind the blade. Now, I have a saw guard for this, but this thing gets stored 99% of its time, so the amount of time it takes to get it out and put the guard on is actually going to take me longer than making the cut. But if you are nervous, go ahead and put the blade guard on. I would suggest you do so. It's more of a don't do what I do, do what I suggest. But all right, now we got to cut these to the correct width, or I guess length, depending on how you want to look at it, which should be 6 feet based on all of our other dimensions, but we're going to double check that. So I went ahead and put this thing up on these sawhorses to make this easier on me. And we're not going to be using finished nails or anything. We're actually going to be using staples to put these, to attach this backer. Reason being is staples tend to give you a better hold than a finished nail would on plywood. So we're going to do this top piece first here. Get this all lined up. The compressor kicks on. Sorry about that. Okay. Good, nothing popped through. Looking good. Okay. We're going to use screws for this guy. Alright, so now I am just going to go through here and we are going to just use some plastic wood and we're just going to fill all the holes, and then it'll be a lot of sanding to try and make all this look nice and pretty. So I'm not going to bore you with this. We'll get to the part where we start painting this whole thing up. Broke out my Festool sander and I'm just doing the first pass. So started at 60 and then I'm just going to work through my case of sandpaper I have up here. So we're going to go 60, 80, 120, 80, and then finish off with 220. If you've seen my other videos, I have the sponges needed to do profiles. So we're going to use that on the molding pieces as well. So I'm just going to keep at this. I'll come back when there's something worth showing. We're probably right before we're done finishing, but this is pretty easy. This is just sanding. So, okay, so I have finished up sanding. Tonight is Halloween, so I got to go do dad duties and take kid out for Halloween. But hopefully tomorrow we can start painting this. All right, so everything is sanded all the way up to 220 grit. That's as high as I had for my Festool sander. So we're going to try with one coat of this Behr paint. on the bookcase here. So it's going to cover everything except the top here. So since this is a kid's bookcase, I'm going to have a little bit of fun. And his room is actually themed for golf and Disney. So we're going to try and paint a golf hole up here with some hidden Mickeys in it. So we'll see how that turns out. The rest of this will be easy to paint though. So I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick. So I may get a comment or two in the down below the video here. I think I have some, yeah, bumped up against it. I got some hair, painting my hair, trying to get underneath the shelves. Anyway, spraying versus rolling. So I don't actually have a working sprayer right now. Last time I had one, I borrowed it from my brother and I used it to paint our kitchen cabinets, but rolling something like this, I think the amount of time you're going to take to set up a sprayer for something this size, it may take you longer to set it up than it would just to get out a roller and do it the old-fashioned way. So if you get good paint, it won't have the texture that rollers give off, but just wanted to answer that because I'm sure I'll get an answer. I'll get a question on that. So now this is the fun part. You can, depending on the age of your kids, you can have them come out and they can help give you ideas of what they want the top of their bookcase to look like. My son is not even a month old, so we're just gonna go off of the theme we have in his room, which is golf and Disney. So sorry, there's guys out mowing. So because it's really up to you, I'm not gonna give you a whole lot of details on how I'm gonna do this top. I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. I'll do like a time lapse for you, but you can do whatever you want. You can paint this the same color as the rest of it and do decals. You can paint something else that you would like. You can get stencils. I've seen people glue action figures on here, whatever you want to do. So let's get into it. I'll do a time lapse for you. But yeah, it's gonna be fun just trying to figure out the best way to do this. So we got the bookcase upstairs, not too difficult. Didn't use any particle board or anything like that, so it's not super duper heavy. Wife and I were able to get up the stairs rather easily. Only thing I have left to do is bolt this to the wall, and I just got to cut a little access hole down here to get to a plug that's right about here. So if you guys remember, I put a little 1x4 back here on the back. This will allow you to have a good piece of meat when you're gonna bolt this to the wall, so it's not gonna tip if your kids climb it. Try to remove as many tipping hazards as possible when you're doing kids furniture. So instead of just relying on the plywood, you can use that just for a little bit more support and rigidity. So if you guys have any questions about this build or any of my other videos, please put those in the comments below. I hope you will check out some of those other videos. Please like this one and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next week. See ya.